I intend to study and teach, to take and give reminders, benefit and assistance, and to inspire myself and others to hold fast to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to call to guidance and direct to goodness, seeking the countenance of Allah, His pleasure, nearness and reward. Okay, so we'll just go straight into a recap as to what we've covered so far. Quick look over your notes while I just write it up. Okay, so let's read the alphabet together first. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alif, Ba, Da, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kha, Dal, Dal, Ra, Za, Sin, Shin, Sad, Dad, Ta, Dha, Ain, Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Noon, Waw, Ha, Hamza, Ya. Okay. Okay, so if we can firstly try and remind ourselves with regards to how many letters are pronounced by sticking our tongue out. So someone tell me. 3, yeah, well done, Sonia. So there are 3 letters that are pronounced by sticking our tongues out. That is the Tha, the Dhal, and the Dha. Okay, so 3 letters where we would stick our tongue out. So again, Tha with a smile, Tha. Then we have Tha, and then we have Dha, Dha. Okay, and so this one is the heavy one, but this one is smiling, and this one is just normal. Okay, so again, Tha, Tha. And if you notice, I'm using more of my tongue, as in terms of horizontally, when I am sticking my tongue out. So again, it's Tha, Tha. Okay, and then you have the, and then Dha, Dha. Okay, and then we had how many letters where the tip of my tongue is touching the gums of my upper front teeth? Okay, so again, the tip of my tongue touching the gums of the upper front teeth. Can someone tell me which one? So firstly, there's 3, so well done for those that wrote it. So there's 3 letters where the tip of my tongue is touching the gums of my upper front teeth. Can anyone tell me what the first one is? Yeah, well done, Gunwal. So the letter is Da. Okay, the next one is Dal. And then the last one is Ta. Okay, and remember we said that a good way to notice is for the idea that there's an added dot for each one. So this one falls into one category, and then the other ones fall into the second category with an extra dot. So one was sticking our tongue out, the other one was the tip of our tongue touching the gums of the upper front teeth. So again, how do we pronounce that? That's Da, Da with a smile, Da, and then you have Da, Da with more of a D sound, and then you have Ta, Ta, which is the heavier version. Da, Da, Ta. Again, Da, Da, Ta. Okay, and then we had another group. Okay, so we said that there was another group where the tip of the tongue is touching the tips of my lower teeth. Okay, so the tip of the tongue is touching the tips of the lower teeth. What's the first letter from that category? Yeah, Sin is one. Okay, there's one that comes before that if we're going in the order. Okay, so firstly there's 3 letters, just like the other one. So Sin is 1. What's the other ones? Okay, so yeah, Kanwal is za. And then the other one is the sod. Well done. Okay, so right now we've got 3 categories. Okay, so 3 is the magic number. There's 3 categories and there's 3 in each category. Okay, so that's 6 letters that we've covered so far. Someone tell me how many letters are pronounced from the throat. How many? 6. Yeah, well done. Okay, so we had the ha, the kha. Okay, and then the next one is the ain and the ghain. And the next one is the ha and the hamza. Okay, so we said that there were 6 letters, and how many categories or how many sections of the throat do we divide into? That magic number again, that 3. Okay, so we said that was the throat. We said at the top, there's the middle, and then there's the bottom. So again, what does the top mean? It's referring to the bit where you would assume your tonsils are. So it's if you were to use your tongue and you put it right back, you're trying to touch the tongue area, the tonsil area. That's what we're trying to refer to when we're saying the top of the throat. In reality, it's not, but it's in terms of that's what we're imagining when we're reciting it. The middle of the throat is the place where, if we were male, we would have our Adam's apple. Okay, so we have a slight bump, even as females. And then as the bottom of the throat is known as the bit where you would have your collarbone. Okay, and it's just referring to that little holy area there. Okay, so there should be a little dip. And that's what we're referring to when we're saying the bottom of our throat. Now, a good way to practice when we're practicing these letters is for you to actually just touch the areas so that you're really consciously aware as to where you're meant to be pronouncing it from. Okay, so with the top of the throat, we have the letter kha, and we have the letter ghain. From the middle of the throat, we have the letter ha, and we have the letter ain. And from the bottom of the throat, we have the letter ha and the letter hamza. Okay, so while we're pronouncing it now, I'd just like you to actually be just touching the top of your throat when you are saying it. So again, kha, kha, with a scratch to it. Kha, kha. Okay, and then you have the letter ghain. Okay, we're going to say it with a fatha on it. All of these letters, we're going to say it with a fatha on it. So gha, gha. So again, the difference between kha and gha. Okay, so this one is a heavy H and this one is a heavy G. Okay, so again, kha and gha. And you'll notice that there's a slight gargle or a slight scratch to when you're pronouncing it. The middle of the throat, again, we have the ha. What do we need to remember about the ha? Lots of air, okay? So we would say it as ha, ha. And then the ain, we would say it as ah, ah. So again, ha. So it's good for you to be touching your throat, the middle of your throat, and you should feel a slight vibration when you're pronouncing it. If you can't feel anything, then that means you're either too high or you're too low, and it's not being pronounced clearly enough. So again, ha, ha, and then you have ah, ah, ha, ah. Okay, and then you have the bottom of your throat where you're touching that little dip between your collarbone, and you are saying her, her, and then again ah, ah. So the ah is nice and sharp and clear. Okay, and the her is what we said was the equivalent of saying H-E-R. Okay, with a deeper tone. So her, her, and you should feel no air, on your hand. Okay, so when you're saying the her, you should be touching your bottom of your throat, putting one hand in front of your mouth, and then saying her, and you should feel nothing on your hand. If you are feeling air on your hand, then that means you're too high and you need to go deeper. You need to go lower down. So it's her, her, and there should be nothing on your hand at all. Okay, that's your 6 throat letters that we need to be consciously aware of. Now there's another category that we've kind of gone through so far, and that is about the gene. Okay, so it's like just like we said that the other letters are either pronounced from the throat or they're pronounced on the tip of the tongue. Can anyone remember, because I remember slightly just mentioning it, does anybody know which part or what's being used when you're pronouncing the jeem? So don't say jeem, say ja. What do you think you're using? Are you using your throat? Are you using your tongue? Are you using your mouth? Okay, so it is the tongue. Okay, and so we said with the tongue, how many sections are there? How many sections of the tongue are there? 4, well done. Okay, so we said that there's a tip. We said there's a middle. We said there's the sides. Now the side could actually refer to all of this. Okay, and then we have the back. Okay, so 4 sections: tip, side, middle, back. So with the jeem is pronounced from the middle of our tongue. Okay, so it's from the middle of our tongue. And what is our tongue doing? Remember how I said that imagine that your tongue, so when you're saying ja, so just say ja and leave your mouth in that same area. So ja. And you'll notice that your tongue is just horizontal. It's just staying there in the middle of your mouth. And that is essentially what you are doing. When you're saying the ja, the middle of the tongue is just slightly moving up towards the upper palate. But naturally, your tongue is like this. It's very hard. I can't even do it with my hand. So imagine trying to do it with your tongue, that you're lifting this middle of your tongue up towards the top roof. So with the jeem, the way that you pronounce it in its technicality is that the middle of the tongue is lifted up towards the upper palate. Okay, so the jeem, again, is the middle of the tongue lifted up towards the upper palate. So when you say ja, your tongue has just slightly moved. You're not able to tell so much because it's so natural, but in its technicality, as we mentioned, it's the middle of the tongue raised up towards the upper palate. Now, it follows the same concept of 3 being the magic number, that the jeem, with the middle of the tongue being lifted up towards the upper palate, there's 2 more letters that are of a similar nature. Can anyone think what those 2 other letters are? Okay, well done, Haifa. So sheen is the other one. And what do you think the other one is? So if it's already got a circle or a red mark around it, then it can't be any of those letters. So have a look at the ones that don't have anything around it. Yeah, Syra, well done. So it's the ya. Okay, so what does that mean? If anyone wanted to take a picture of that, you're welcome to do now. Okay. So what does it mean by the sheen, the jeem, and the yam? So as I was saying, that the roof, this is your roof of your top, also known as the upper palate, okay? And then you've got the sheen, the jeem, and the yam, okay? And all of these 3 letters are where the middle of the tongue is lifted up towards this. So it's going upwards, the middle of the tongue. So imagine this is my tongue, the middle here, and I'm lifting that up towards the upper palate. Now, these 3 letters are all pronounced the same way in the sense that the middle of the tongue is lifted up towards the upper palate, but the level in which they are lifted is what makes their sound different. Okay, so I'll repeat that again. The 3 letters, sheen, or jeem, sheen, and ya, are all pronounced where the middle of the tongue is lifted up towards the upper palate, but what makes the sound different is the level as to which they are raised. Okay, so which one do you think is lifted the highest? So just practice it. Say ja, and then say sha, and then say ya. Which one do you think is lifted the highest? Okay, so some of you are saying sheen. Anyone else? Jeem, Samira said. Sheen, again. Okay, so the highest is actually the jeem. Okay, so if you notice, it's quite a strong sound. So when you say ja, You're really having to lift it up to get that strong sound. So Jim is the first. Which one do you think is next? Do you think it's Sheen or do you think it's Ya? Okay, so Sadaf said Jim, and then I think she's saying Sheen next. So, and that's correct. So it's Jim, and then it's Sheen, and then it's Ya. Okay, so let's practice it again. So say Ja, Ja, and you'll notice it's quite a strong sound, Ja. Okay, and then say Sha, Sha, and then the last one is Ya. And it's really obvious with the Ya because it's just literally just, you're not even making any effort, you're just saying Ya. Okay, so remember it in that order, Jim being the highest, then Sheen, then Ya. Okay, so these three letters are pronounced with as from the middle of the tongue raised up towards the upper palate. Okay, so what do we have left? We've got alif and ba, we've got dad, we've got ra, we've got fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, noon, waw. Okay, so if I was to say to you, look at the time. Okay, we'll just go through one more category, and that is, so you know how I was mentioning to you about the tongue having 4 sections. Okay, so let's finish that. So let me draw that again. So we had the tongue, okay, the side of the tongue. Can anyone tell me how many letters they think are pronounced from the side of the tongue, also known as the edge of the tongue? How many do you think are pronounced from the side or the edge of the tongue? We've already gone through them, so it's just really about trying to reflect on which ones fall into this category specifically. I'll give you a clue. One of them is the one about the molar teeth. What letter is that? The dod. Okay, so one of the letters is dod. Okay, so we've got dod. Dodgy version. Okay, we've got dod, and the next one is actually lam, which I've already covered with you. So there's 2 letters that are pronounced from the edge. Okay, what does that mean? The dod, we're using this part of the edge, okay, because we're getting to the molar teeth. Okay, and we know that our molar teeth are those back ones. So how are we pronouncing the dod? We're saying that the edge of the tongue, okay, is touching the molar teeth. So I would say it like da, da. Okay, so 2 letters that are pronounced from the edge of the tongue, and that's dad, and then lam. Can anyone remember what I mentioned about the lam? I said we don't use the tip of the tongue. That's a common misconception. We use the fronted edge. Okay, so we use the fronted edge. And so, again, if I take out my tongue, and talking about it, right, so I'm talking about the rounded edge of my tongue, okay, and that is touching so fronted edge, I'm going to write it here just so you can write it in your notes. So fronted edge of tongue touching the gums of the upper front teeth. Can't really fit it. Okay, what am I going to add here? From which tooth to which tooth? From canine to canine. Yes, canine to canine. Okay, so again, the lam, okay, is, and a good way to remember it that I just came to me now, is look how the shape of the lam is, okay, and it kind of feels like that is your fronted edge. I don't know, it's the first time I've noticed it. Okay, so the lam, if that works for you anyway, so the fronted edge of your tongue is touching the gums of the upper front teeth from canine to canine. What does that mean? So when I say al, if you notice, al, it's literally from my canine to my canine. I'm sure you did not want to see the inside of my mouth, but that's to help you. Okay, so again, Al is from canine to canine. Okay, so that's that fronted edge. Okay, so when we say la, la, in comparison to la, la. Okay, la, lu, li. Okay, that is what we will go through for today, and we can continue it on tomorrow, inshallah. Okay, so what I'd like us to do is for us to use an example of a surah that we have covered so far already, and let's try and find some of those rules that we have been covering so far, and I'll remind you of what those rules are. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can see that. It's a little bit of a blurry version. Okay, so it is Surah Qadr, okay? And I would like you, first of all, to find how many heavy letters there are in this surah. So remember how I said that there are 7 heavy letters. We have Kha, Sad, Dad, Ta, Dha, Ghain, and Qaf. So 7 heavy letters. Okay, so I'll just put them up higher up for you. So you are looking, and you're going to write down on a piece of paper or somewhere. Don't write it in the answers bit, just so that everyone has the opportunity to find it. So you're either looking for a Kha, a Sad, a Dad, a Ta, Dha, Ghain, or Qaf in this surah, and just note down the number. Remember, it doesn't matter whether it's got fatah on it, kasra on it, dhamma on it, sukoon on it. If it's there in this surah, then that means that it has that heavy letter in it. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm going to ask you to find the next rule that we've covered, which is the Noon Mushadda and the Mim Mushadda. Okay, so that's your heavy letters. We're moving on to Noon Mushadda and Mim Mushadda. So can you see any Noon Mushadda or Mim Mushadda? And if you can, then write down how many you can see. And you know that the rule is that whenever you see a Noon with a Shadda on it or a Mim with a Shadda on it, you pronounce it with Gunna. Okay, so the next rule is about the name of Allah. So first of all, you're looking to see if you can see any word or the word Allah in this surah. And then if you can, you're looking at whether it is pronounced heavy, this lam, or whether it is pronounced lightly. Okay, so you are noting whether, number one, if there are any rules of the name of Allah, and if there is, whether it is heavy or whether it is light. Okay, and then the next rule is with regards to qalqala. Okay, so we know that the qalqala means to bounce or to echo. So you're looking for qaf, ta, ba, jim, or dal. Okay, if you see any of these letters and they have a sukoon on it, so in this text, the sukoon looks like a little crescent. Okay, so if you see any of these 5 letters with a sukoon on it, then you need to put it as a little tally, because you're going to tell me at the end how many qalqalas you found in this surah. Okay, so remember, qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal. Okay, and then the last rule that we're going to be looking for is the ra being heavy. You're noting down whether you can see any heavy ra's. And we've already learned that if the ra's got a fatah on it, it's heavy. If the ra has a dhamma on it, it's heavy. If the ra has a fatatain on it, it's heavy. And if the ra has a dhammatain on it, it is heavy. So can you see any ra's in this surah? And if you can, then you need to check whether it's heavy. If it's heavy, then tally it. If it's not heavy, then don't include it. Okay, so if you haven't managed to do it, then don't worry. Then inshallah, the idea is that you can practice it later on in your own time, and you can see whether you got the answers right or whether you didn't get them right. Okay, so just so that we can go through the answers now, we're just going to go through it quickly. So first of all, how many heavy letters there are? Okay, so I'll go through the ayah and I'm just going to count them. So inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. So the qaf is a heavy one. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. So again, there's a qaf. لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. So again, there's a qaf. خَيْرٌ. So there's a kha. خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع. So the ta is heavy. مطلع الفجر. Okay, so there's 5 heavy letters. If you missed one, then just try and figure out which one you missed. So it was qaf first, and then another qaf, and then another qaf, then a kha, then it was a, I can't remember which one I missed. I've missed one now. Okay, but you get the idea. Qaf, qaf, qaf. Okay, so there's 3 qafs, and then there's a kha, and then there's a ta. Okay, those are your 5 heavy letters. The second rule is about noon and mim mushadda. Okay, so how many noon and mim mushadda did we find in here? The first one being inna, that's the noon mushadda. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr, wa ma adraka ma laylatul qadr, laylatul qadri khayrum. Okay, so that meme's got a shadda on it. Okay, so technically that's another rule, but for me, at this point, I just need you to know that is a mim mushadda. خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. Okay, so there were 3. If you missed one, then have a look at which one you missed and try and find it. What's it called? It. I can't see it. Right, can you guys still see the surah? Yes or no? Just makes my life. 1 second.
Leave it. No.
Okay, now you should be able to see it. Okay, so the next rule was the name of the name Allah. So this surah does not have any word that says Allah in it. Okay, so or any ayah that says Allah in it. Okay, so there's no rule of Allah in here. The second one was, or the next rule was the qalqala. So just going through it again. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr. So the dal has a qalqala. Wama adraka. The dal again has a qalqala. Wama adraka ma laylatul qadr. Laylatul qadri. So the dal has a qalqala again. Qadri. خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع. Okay, so that ta is a qalqala letter, so there's 4 so far. مطلع الفجر. Okay, so that jim is also another one. That's a qalqala there. So there's 5 qalqalas in this surah. I hope you got them. Okay, so that's 5. Okay, next one just quickly is the ra being heavy. So I'm just going to go through it quickly. So inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Okay, so that ra here has got a kasra on it. Now we haven't learned in its full capacity about the ra, but just so you know for now, that ra is actually a heavy ra. But I'm not expecting you to have picked it up at this point. Okay, then the next ayah is وَمَا أَدَرَاكَ 1. وَمَا أَدَرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. So again, that ra would be classified as heavy, but we're not going to include it. لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ. That ra there. خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. تنزل الملائكة والروح. The ra here. والروح فيها بإذن ربهم. The ra here. ربهم من كل أمر. That ra would technically be heavy, but for now we don't need to worry about it. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. Okay, so again, that ra would be heavy. So if you included it in your overall, for those that have already studied that rule previously, then that's fine. But for what we've learned so far, when the ra has a fatah on it, the ra has a dhamma on it, the ra has a fatatain, or the ra has a dhammatain, there are 4 heavy ra's. Okay, and we will leave it as that, inshallah, for today's session.